All right. So now, after these technical difficulties, so let's jump right in, Kelly.
No problem.
So you were talking about you were explaining the back end of the product. So let's get right back into that.
Awesome, awesome. So I was saying that GAP is your guaranteed asset protection.
Mhm.
You have your interior and exterior protections, which would include making sure that you have a protective layer on your paint or on your the interior of your seats, so that if you have any of those spills or anything like that, it's easy to get up, or any tears or rips that occur naturally throughout the duration of your ownership of the vehicle. You can bring it back, and they'll fix it with a small deductible. And then I was talking about tire and wheel protection,
Mhm.
key replacement protection. All of those are part of your back end products, which could also be called ancillary products. Different dealerships use different terminology. It's nationwide. You know what I mean? So everybody speaks a little different. Um,
So
with
Kelly,
that,
let's dive into it. Let's break it down because I think that
absolutely.
a lot of people don't realize the importance of it. And I know we
Mhm.
sell it, but we also buy it. Let's talk about tire and wheel. For instance, a lot of people don't think that they should purchase that product in Michigan because the roads are actually the dealership that I'm on, Summit Drive. The roads are so bad where you can hit you can hit a
You can tell
pothole,
your
you
whole
can tear the
tire
whole
up
front end of your car up,
coming
right?
down.
But it has nothing to do with the dealership. We are moving to Telegraph. We are getting a whole new building built, but it could tear your front end and the back end of the car up.
Hmm.
And I actually recently had to get a brand new tire because of the streets on Summit Drive.
Hmm.
But let's talk about the importance of protecting your vehicle, and then also maybe you do you actually use buy products when you actually lease or buy your cars?
Absolutely. So, one product that I definitely get every time, I don't miss, is GAP coverage,
Mhm.
guaranteed asset protection. And I think everyone should get it if they have a gap in the purchase of their vehicle. So, let me explain. Guaranteed asset protection is in the event of an accident, right? A total loss accident. Your car insurance company, your Progressive, Geico, State Farm,
Mhm.
those type of insurances, right? They will say your car is worth $20,000,
Mhm.
and we'll give you a check for $20,000. The problem is, what if you owe $25,000,
Hmm.
right? You
Mhm.
don't want to come out of your pocket that delta to the bank. You don't want to come out of your pocket
Mhm.
$5,000 to the bank,
Yeah,
correct?
that's
I
right.
wouldn't. I want to keep my ducats in my bucket. So
Okay.
the way the way to circumvent that is you purchase gap insurance
Mhm.
from the dealer at the time that you purchase your vehicle. If you're going through the credit union, every credit union that I've seen always offers gap coverage. If you're buying vis-a-vis credit union or personal bank, ask for it then as well. And that way they pay for that gap coverage, pays for that $5,000 so that you don't have to. So yes, that is something that I use. I lease a lot of my vehicles. However, the vehicle that I most use now, my Wrangler, I purchased from a mutual friend of ours, Regina, up in New Jersey, and he was able to
Okay.
give me gap insurance. The reason I'm saying that is because in New York, it is illegal for a dealer to sell gap insurance. You
Oh.
have to
Mm.
get it from either vis-a-vis leasing, right, or from a separate institution. There are separate institutions that sell gap coverage in New York State
So why
specifically.
is it illegal in New York to sell gap insurance?
Perfect, because you have to be a fiduciary and
Mhm.
licensed in
Mhm.
order to sell it. And as you know, most dealership employees are not fiduciaries.
Mhm.
Wow. You know, Kelly, I wanted to jump in here real quick. We started off and talking about the back ends, but I really want the listeners to know, who is Kelly? Like, how did you get into the automotive business? How did you get here?
Awesome. So the Spark Notes version is I've always been really, really good in sales. I've sold everything you could probably think of. And one day, about 14 years ago, my late husband, he had a great idea that I should go and sell some cars because I had a passion for cars.
Mhm.
I
Mm.
didn't actually have a passion for cars. He had a passion for cars, and I knew a lot about them. Wasn't really my passion, but I thought he was cute and cool, so I decided, all right, I'll give it a try. Turned out I developed a passion for it, and he was right. I ended up being very good at car sales, and that's one thing you learn in marriage. You have to yield to your partner
That
sometimes.
is
Sometimes
true.
they see
That
things that you don't see.
that
Which is
is
going
true.
back to what you were saying. So that's how I got into the automotive industry. And
But this
again, that was
isn't just
14 years ago.
this isn't just automobile industry though. Like you do wholesales. Like this is big.
Hmm.
You're doing big things. So from him planting the seed, hey, you need to do that to this space you're in now. Like you went from not having a desire to now this is it. Like this is what you do every
Yeah,
day. So wow,
absolutely. You
man,
have to like people more than you like cars. Like
absolutely.
Miss Eliza from CMA would say, you gotta like
Mhm.
people more than you like cars.
Wow.
So you know what you we talked about, well, let's wholesale. A lot of people don't
Hmm.
understand the wholesale. What are a lot of people think they can come and get the wholesale price too, but a lot of people understand what wholesale. Let's talk a little bit about what wholesale, since you actually do that. You wholesale vehicles.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I teach others to wholesale. So no worries.
Mm,
So wholesale pricing, because that's a lot easier to get
mhm,
into, is essentially getting the least uh paying the least amount that you could pay for a thing, right? That's your
Mhm.
wholesale price.
Yeah.
right.
And then you can increase your retail price so that way the difference is your profit,
Yeah.
right? It's very similar with vehicles. The thing is, wholesale vehicles are as is vehicles.
Mhm.
They typically don't
No
have
warranty. No
any
warranty.
protections,
Mhm,
no warranties. Um, they're cheap for a reason. So understand you will have to do some work with them to
mhm,
get them road ready or to pass the inspections that are given by your state. So those are wholesale vehicles, typically acquired via auction, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes you can find wholesale pricing from social selling, like your Facebook, your Instagram, your
Mhm.
TikTok,
mhm.
OfferUp, so on and so forth. I just don't recommend those places at all.
You know, I
So,
know I know that a lot of dealerships, the dealerships I've worked for over the years, you have individuals that come in and actually they are hosts, we call them wholesalers. They come into their dealerships, they have a conversation with the used car manager, and they give them the cars that are as is, or if they give them the cars that actually are functionable, right, where there's really not any issues, they pay a certain price that nobody else would get that price. And the thing about when you wholesale a car is know that it's not always a return. You can bring it back and complain about it. If you
Mm.
develop a relationship, actually, I know with a dealership and there's some issues, they may allow you to bring the vehicle back when it's a wholesaler. But normally, when you get that vehicle, it is what it is.
Mm.
And and that when a
absolutely.
wholesaler comes into our dealership, I know that they're actually getting that car and taking it to another place to sell it, to do something to that vehicle, maybe to take it through service or maybe not, or just plant it on a lot just to make a quick dollar and flip it.
Mm.
But let me ask you something. What do they do in New York? How is wholesaling done, far as wholesale price or wholesaling done in New York compared to Michigan? Because I know what we do here.
So New York is just a totally different beast in general when it comes
Mhm.
to New York's DMV rules and regulations, dealer licenses and stuff. I promise you, they have a rule that you can't get your dealer license in certain months if if your name starts with a certain letter. Like they have it broken down that they only accept applications for things January through June if your name goes to this far of the alphabet, and June through December if your name is that far in the alphabet. So
Wow.
it's a city with 10 million people in a very small area. There's no way they're gonna get through so many applications and stuff. So that's why they divvy it up like that. But in general, wholesaling was a little bit different because um, there are a lot of abandoned vehicles
Mm.
that people can try to acquire ownership of through the state, right? And so they track the title information. They can go and pay a fee, and take on ownership of said abandoned vehicle. That I'm sure can be done in Michigan as well. It's
Mhm.
probably just not as tedious of a process.
Mm.
But even when it comes to selling through a dealership, wholesale vehicles, it is as is, and they do have you sign as is disclosures. So therefore, you know that how you got it is now your baby now. You go take care of it. You do what you got to do for it, right? And it's the same in North Carolina because, as you know, I sold vehicles for several years out of North Carolina. They have to do sign an as is disclosure as well.
Wow. So, Kelly, I have a question. So, one of the things we're going to talk about is getting a car loan in your business name. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. That's my favorite topic, yo. That's my favorite thing.
Kelly sells cars. Come on here.
That part. Woo, woo. Okay. So ever since the pandemic, people started going on, your social medias
Mhm.
like YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and hearing these gurus talk about, oh, just buy the car in your business name. And then you don't have to worry about the liability personally, and you build up your business credit. And they say all the things.
Mm.
Great.
Mhm.
However, they never tell you how to get there. They just say go do it. They never give you the step by step playbook. So
Mhm.
I'm here to tell you, number one, you have to have a legitimate business,
Okay.
not a hobby, not a side hustle, not something that you just happen to have been doing for a few years, but you haven't filed any paperwork with the IRS, you haven't filed your LLC paperwork with the Secretary of State, or got a business bank account, or any of those things. So all those things are your prerequisites, including but not limited to getting a Dun and Bradstreet number. Now, this is a little bit different than real estate because in real estate, you don't necessarily need a DUNS number in order to purchase property in your business name. For
Mm.
automotive, you do because they will absolutely run a check on your business. Um, and you don't have to have your DUNS number. The underwriters at the banks do that themselves. So
Mhm.
it's not done necessarily all the time at the dealership level, although sometimes if a dealer feels like your businesses might be a little sketchy or they don't think it's a real
Mhm.
business, they may do that research themselves, but it's done typically on the banking level.
Mhm.
And then that's a DUNS number is essentially your business social security number that's separate from your EIN number. So it's free to get. You go to dunnandbradstreet.com and it's free to go ahead and get that for your business so that you can start showing other businesses, including lending financial institutions, that you're ready to do business, right? And then, not to go too far in the weeds, but also business car deal structures are different than personal car deal structures. So understand that typically most people, when they're going to buy a vehicle in their name, they're looking for expensive vehicles to use as write-offs in their business for business usage. And therefore, typically your deal structure is going to have 100% loan to value as opposed to or less, as opposed to in the personal side where they give you a little bit more leeway, a little bit more wiggle room, wiggle uh to go ahead and get that deal done. So it could go up to, I've seen Mercedes Benz deal personal for 125%, Regina. It's
So,
crazy.
wow.
Mm.
So let's talk
Mhm.
about the individuals out there in America that actually think that they can actually get a vehicle in their business name and their credit is in the toilet or they're at a
Mhm.
400 credit score, 450 credit score.
Mm.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Can you do that?
I wouldn't, because even if your business credit score, so to speak, is, let's say, 80 or above. It goes up to 100 just for the purpose of the conversation. Your business credit score goes from 0 to 100.
Mhm.
So let's say you're at an 80, which is optimal for buying a car in your
Mhm.
business name, but your personal credit is a 498. and you're like,
Mm,
"Ooh, I just put it in my business name, and I don't have to show them my personal credit." Okay,
mm,
if your business is new and doesn't really do business transactions in the business name, you will have to do something called personally guarantee.
Mm.
And so, a personal guarantee is not a co-sign for your business or a co-borrow with your business, but it is a peek at your personal credit. It's is the bank, opening that little window and just looking through real quick, little peek real quick to see
Mhm.
how you do your personal business. Because
yeah,
the idea is, however you pay your bills personally
Mhm.
is how you will pay them
yeah,
professionally.
Mhm.
that's true.
So they want to know who they're dealing with, who's behind
Mm.
the Wizard of Oz curtain.
I'm
So
glad
that's
you
that's
said
how
that.
that works.
I'm glad you said that, Kelly, because sometimes there's a kind of a misconception there.
Mhm.
So people think that as long as I'm paying my business
Mhm.
things that for my business, then I'm doing well. But
Mhm.
going back and looking at history
Mhm.
matters, and I can understand that here. So thank you for sharing that because that reminds us,
Mhm.
those of us that are in business, because I'm a stickler about making sure stuff is paid, right? Because I realize that your credit matters. Your credit opens
Mhm.
doors to a lot of things. So thank you for sharing that. Wow.
Absolutely, you're welcome. And
So,
you know what? Just as a quick add, there are some banks, because I know there's going to be one like, oh, but this bank will do it. Yeah, there are some banks that
Mm,
will look at only your Paydex score, but typically you have to be in business more than just, oh, I signed up and made an LLC yesterday, right?
mm.
So there are qualifications for those institutions that look at your Paydex only. So make sure that you meet all those.
let's talk about reporting to credit reports. So if you guarantee your business, you're the guarantee of your business, and you're making payments, but if you stop making payments, what happens to your credit? So do they report to both? I know the answer, but I just want you to kind of
I need to
elaborate
know
on
the
that.
answer.
Elaborate on that.
No problem. So I will say this. If you are making all your payments, it will not get reported to your personal. If you only personally guaranteed, if you co-borrowed or co-signed for your business, all payments will show in both places. If you
Mm,
only personally guaranteed, it will not show until you stop making those payments. Then absolutely it will move to your personal credit as you're doing bad business and you might have to take on that uh, personal liability.
well, this it's kind of in a way confusing because it's like, wait a minute, this is my business. So when I
Mhm.
sign up for business, in any business, you still have to use your own social security number and things like that to even get the EIN, right? And so now we got to do the Duns and Bradstreet number. So you're the same person, even though you have a business
Mhm.
and you're, in personal. So how, the separation there? I know you're saying, like Regina asked the question, will there be a report? But you're still the same person. You're just, I guess, identified by different numbers.
Mhm.
Is that what?
Correct.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
All right, got it. All right. I got it. I got it. I got it. So, Kelly, what if there was someone who had a desire to get into wholesaling or even to get into the automobile industry? What would be something that you would tell them off the bat that they would need to know before even trying to embrace this space?
Number one, I would say do it, and number two, I would say be a self starter, and also have a thick skin. Those three
Mhm.
things. So number one, we lead with positivity. Do it. Why not? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Um, jump on in. The water's great here. But also, definitely you've got to be a self starter. Why? Because you're going to have those days. You're going to have those days where you hear nothing but no's. And sometimes it's the hardest when you have your client that's saying yes, yes, yes to everything, but the banks are saying no, no, no. It's like,
Mhm.
No, no, no.
no.
Red arrow,
So
red arrow.
that part,
Mm.
right? And then sometimes you have banks that are saying yes, yes, yes to everything. And the person is like, well, if you can make this an even 500, we could do business. We're at 505. Sign the paper, please.
Right.
Right? So we're $5 away. Like, give me some room to breathe. So
Ooh.
you're gonna have those days, but then also having a thick skin, because
Mhm.
what I've learned in the car business is a lot of people high D personalities, meaning they're very
Mhm.
direct, very cut and
Mhm.
dry. And it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that they're mean, it
Mm.
just means that their brain is working on 10,000 things at once. So they have to
Program.
be quick and direct with
Yeah.
you. So you've got to check your feelings at the door. I
Wow.
happen to be one of those high D personalities.
Mm.
So, so I already get it. But for
Mhm.
somebody who does not necessarily have a similar personality, they would say, oh, that person doesn't like me. It's not about liking you, it's about getting the job done. So definitely have a thick skin.
I love that, and I started laughing because I am the one that's gonna challenge you on that $5. I am the one, so when you were saying that, I was like, "Yeah, that is me." But I
We're
also
gonna say split
appreciate
it. We're
you.
gonna say split it.
Listen, Imma tell
You
you
split
you
it.
gonna take $4.98.
Yeah.
That's the
Listen,
split.
that's the split, right? So I love that you shared that, but also the thick skin. It's important that in any business that you have to, especially with sales, because you're gonna hear no. You're gonna hear no. So I'm glad that you shared that. But I also wanted to ask this question. So how, being a wholesaler, do you work with dealerships as well?
So yes, however, the way in which I wholesale vehicles is from a consumer standpoint, not from the dealer standpoint.
No.
So I do the same thing, but in reverse.
Okay.
So for me, or to other auctions. So we could think of it more like flipping. That would
Okay.
be the best way to describe it, is more like flipping. So let's say I bought a vehicle from Capital Auto Auction, right?
Mhm.
And I go and I put it on the auction block at, let's say, Copart, right?
Mhm.
We all know that Copart is not necessarily the best auto auction in the world for good quality vehicles. Those are going to be your damaged vehicles, your vehicles that have flood damage. Maybe they have been torn to pieces. Who knows? But um, it's the fastest, most guaranteed way to wholesale or flip a vehicle that
Mhm.
brings you in personal money, or if that's your business money, to where you don't have to worry about marketing on vis-a-vis social selling, or you don't have to worry about um, putting a car out on the side of the road talking about, oh, this is for sale, call this number, in that
Mhm.
intolerable white marker that's written all over the windows, right?
Mhm.
So, and then you're praying for somebody to call you because you just spent money on this car, right?
Right.
So that's more how I do it. Um, However, different states, if you don't have a dealer license, like mine is out of North Carolina, but if you don't have a dealer license, different states have different um, requirements or
Mhm.
regulations, is the better word for it. So I know in North Carolina, you can do 5 of those a year. In Virginia you can do 6. In Florida you can do 2 or 3 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So in your personal name. So it really just depends. So I would encourage anybody, if you're looking to get into wholesaling or flipping cars or selling cash cars or anything like that, get a dealer license, go through the classes, take the tests. Do the consumers justice. Don't, like I wouldn't do business that wasn't operating in the highest levels of integrity. Because a
Mhm.
vehicle is, my mom would say a vehicle is a license to kill. Like if it's not maintained properly, you could end up hurting yourself or somebody else very bad.
Mhm.
So I would definitely say go through all the classes, put in the work. If you're serious about it, put in the work.
Yeah. Is it tedious though? The classes and the process to get into this space? Is it a tedious process?
So I got mine during the pandemic, and the rules were a little different because you could be home.
Yeah. You
And
can do what you want to
take,
do.
yeah, you could show up to class of your Jimmy Jams, okay?
Right? Yeah.
Online.
Online via
Yep.
Zoom, right? I
Mhm.
got mine back in 2021. So originally I had to go to the class in 2021. So now I'm positive. So I got mine out of North Carolina. I'm sure now you have to show up in person, and it's only certain locations. So
Mhm.
that could be tedious. And if you're a nervous test taker, like maybe you just don't do well on tests, generally speaking. If you get test anxiety, that part of the process might be a little tedious. But in
Mhm.
general, You know, it's it's about making sure, well, can you get fingerprints? Can you get bonded? Can you know what I mean, find a office location that matches your state's requirements. So, and again, every state is different. So it could be tedious for some, but if you have a passion for it, it's exciting. It's like, oh, I get to do this next,
Mhm.
right? So that would be my answer. I know that's kind of both sides of the
That's a
coin,
good answer. That's
Yeah,
a good
it
but
is a good
yeah,
answer. Yeah.
So the last part I want to talk about before we end our show is in-house financing and financing with the dealership. Let's talk
absolutely.
about a difference because we talked. You said that you had a customer that
Hmm.
actually was confused about dealership financing in the house, as far as them making a payment at the dealership versus having one making a payment to a finance company and the dealership being involved. So,
Correct.
what's the difference between those two?
I love this. So this comes down to communication and communication barriers, right? So in dealership world, if you say, hey, Miss Sales Lady or Mr. Salesman, I want to do some in-house financing. For people who are maybe new to car sales, they may say, oh yeah, we do that. We take your information here and we get you hooked up with a bank here. So we do all the financing in-house. To maybe some of our more seasoned veterans, we already know that that means, can I pay my car note here? Can I come here to pay it? And I want to make sure it doesn't show up on my credit report, right? Um, to the customer, they may mean exactly that. They don't want it to show up on their credit report. They want to come to the dealership and make their payments.
Mhm.
And so, in order to do that, they ask, do you do in house financing? If you are going to a buy here, pay here type of a dealership, then yeah, they likely will do in house financing. If you're going to a mass market dealership like your Chevrolet, Honda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, BMW, Mercedes, anything with a brand name on the rooftop,
Mhm.
that means it is not going to do in-house financing. You will have to do a credit inquiry either at your own financial institution or with them to do quote unquote in-house financing, right? And they will match you with a bank. You give your social security number, your address, your full name, probably a copy of your driver license, and they will first, the dealership pulls your credit and they look at what your credit profile looks like. The reason why that's done first is so that they can see which banks to send you to. If you have prime credit, you're likely going to go to their manufacturing bank as well as some prime banks, which include but not limited to Wells Fargo, Chase, um, Citibank, Bank of America. Or if you're maybe in a rebuilding credit situation, I got that from you, Regina. If you're in a rebuilding credit situation, have bruised credit, right?
Mhm.
Then guess what? You're going to some of your subprime lenders,
Mhm.
like your Westlake, American Credit Acceptance, Exeter, so on and so forth. So the dealer has to see what your credit looks like first in
Mhm.
order to decide which financial institutions would best fit your particular economic situation in that moment.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. So you used some words that Regina used, the bruised and the rebrand. So,
Hmm.
so how is again, like we were talking about in this wholesale, if someone wanted to do that and they had bruised credit, what would be the first thing you tell them to do before they start this journey, or they trying to
I was going.
Right. I would tell them don't get a wholesale vehicle.
don't get?
They can't. Thank you. You can't. You
You
need to
can't
get.
get
Yeah.
it. That's
Right.
That's what you need to
If
do.
your goal is to rebuild your credit, don't get a wholesale vehicle at
But your
all.
way was guaranteed though. Honestly, as you explained this, the way that you do it, it's a guaranteed sale. It's guaranteed. If you know what you're doing,
Yes.
it's guaranteed. So I appreciate you sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much.
Hey, so can you tell? I don't even know how. Do we tell people to contact you for this?
Yes.
Like, how
Yes.
do we? You have to look,
Yes.
Regina. You go ahead with
Yes.
that because I'm like, I want to contact her,
So,
right?
all right. So, if you want to contact Kelly, give me your information. We know you have a website. We know you have a telephone number. She does consulting. I mean, all over the United States. So she's
Yeah.
a wealth of information. And the thing what I
Mhm.
love about Kelly, she'll share a little bit, but you got to pay. It's consulting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just give us your contact information.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So my Instagram is Kelly Sells Cars. Kelly, Kelly. My parents were basic, so they spelled it the basic way. Sells, Sells, Cars, Cars on Instagram. I have a red blazer on there. So if you see me, go ahead and click follow. Why not? I'll follow you back. Absolutely. And then on LinkedIn, you can also search Kelly Sells Cars, and you'll see me there too. Same thing with on my website. His website is www.kellysellscars.com. The only place I'm different is on Facebook. So you can find me at Kelly Saunders, Saunders, Alleyne, Alleyne. And there, I believe I have on my Kelly Sells Cars shirt as well as a blazer. So go ahead and click follow there too. And I'll follow you back. Why not?
Are we able
So
to see it? Can we
um,
see it?
Let me
The
see your
shirt?
Kelly Sale shirt.
um, let's see. Um,
Nope.
do you see it there?
No.
Nope. We can't.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Oh, there
Oh,
we go.
yeah.
We go.
Yeah. Wait,
All right. Wait. It was.
Hey,
wait. Can you
Yeah.
bring it down?
I'm vertically challenged.
Can you-
There we go. You see it?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that-
KSC. Oh, I love
Yes.
it. Yeah, I love it.
Which also happens to be my initials, but backwards.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
appreciate this so much today. You gave us a lot of
Thank you.
information. And so for listeners, I hope you had your pen and paper out and was able to gather some of this wonderful information that Kelly shared with us.
We
Thank
appreciate
you so
you. I
much.
appreciate you for joining us this morning. It's a long time coming. We appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule for joining us this morning. Give us your contact information one more time, Kelly.
Absolutely. So kellysellscars.com or Kelly Sells Cars on social media, which includes LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. And then it's just Kelly Saunders Alleyne on Facebook. But I'm sure if you find me on Instagram, we'll get linked up. Absolutely. So definitely kellysellscars.com.
Well, Kelly, again, happy Saturday. I hope you have an amazing day today.
Thank you so much, and same to you, and happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Um, you know what? You started off the episode with the word value. So I will absolutely say that for people who are maybe looking, um, make sure there's value in life in general, in everything you do.
Yeah.
Don't do things and say, oh, I don't know why I did that. Find value in everything, find value in your person. I was blessed to find someone that I'm dating now, and he brings so much value to my life. So, value is amazing. So, I'm so glad that you led the show with that word for sure.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's hard. Your bio said you were widowed, but
Hmm.
it's a blessing when the Lord
Yes.
allows someone to come into our lives and to, just to give us a companion. So congratulations
Yes.
again. May
Thank
this
you.
time be even greater.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yay.
All right,
You're
Kelly.
welcome. Have a great day,
You
everybody.
All right.
too. Bye bye.
Happy Saturday.
Bye.
Man, that was good. That was a good show.
So as usual, we had a great show.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, you know what? Let me give a shout out to you because, Dr. T been talking about for a while. She said been encouraging me to actually have a segment to talk about cars, and I've been dragging my feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you pushing me to actually do that.
That's part of who you are. You Regina the
Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah, but actually the focus on that particular
Mm-hmm.
that segment. So thank you for
Good.
that.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
And it was a good segment too. So for all of you all that are listening, you got Kelly's information. She gave a lot of good information today.
Yeah.
If you are interested in becoming a wholesaler, or even if you want some consulting, come holler at her. But if you are in a Pontiac in the surrounding areas and you're looking for a vehicle, you have the Queen sitting right here now. Regina the Queen of Colognes. Regina, tell them how can they get in contact with you if they trying to get a car.
You can put an application in 24 hours a day. If you are in the bathroom, or you're on the airplane, or wherever you are, eating dinner at a restaurant, doesn't matter. You can go to Regina, the queen of Carlones.com. That's queens, queen of Carlones.com. I have my inventory on there. And also, you can put a credit application in 24 hours a day.
Did y'all hear that? She has her inventory there, so you can kind of browse and see what you're looking for. And if she has it, listen. If she doesn't have it, she know how to get it. So contact
I
her.
do.
hmm So happy Saturday, everybody. I
Happy
hope y'all
Saturday.
doing something, getting ready for Resurrection Sunday tomorrow. A lot of pastors and preachers are ready to, give the clothing tagline. He got up. So yeah, the Lord is risen. He got up.
You got up.
Yeah, he
Have
got.
a great week.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.